Mothman, where it came from and why it's so popular. To begin with, I just want to say I'm not saying all these creatures exist. I'm just saying they have cool stories and I've made some videos on them. So if you like it, hit the subscribe button and let's get into it. So basically, the first Mothman sighting happened in West Virginia in 1966 at Point Pleasant. The local newspaper ran a story about a couple who saw a man-sized bird-like creature while driving home at night. They described the creature as being 7 foot tall, having large red eyes and a 10-foot wingspan. And they said it followed their car and went as fast as 100 miles an hour because they were trying to get away from it. And then at one point it got down in front of their car and like it was trying to get them to get out and investigate it, which they didn't do because they thought it was a trap. So they eventually got back into town and got the sheriff to come with them later that night. And when they got there, they found a strange lump of dust where they claimed the creature had laid down. After this sighting, there was at least 100 Mothman reports, which many skeptics believe were sightings of either sandhill cranes or great horned owls. But it doesn't explain what happened next. A journalist named John Keel, who was investigating the sightings, claimed that he received messages from Mothman somehow and that he got a warning about a regional blackout that was going to occur. When the moment came for the blackout, the power stayed on, but the bridge in Point Pleasant, called Silver Bridge, collapsed, killing 46 people, and the sightings of Mothman suddenly stopped. So this was in the 1960s. That was the first documented Mothman incident. Later, in 2007, another bridge collapse will be linked with Mothman. Reports of Mothman sightings flooded in shortly before the collapse of the I-35W Mississippi River Bridge in Minnesota. The incident was eerily similar to the other collapse. 13 people died, 145 were injured, and witnesses said they saw the creature for months near the bridge, and the same description was said. It was 10 feet wingspan, it had large red eyes. These were two incidences where Mothman was repeatedly seen in areas immediately before disaster strikes in the United States, but there's another very similar incident that occurred in Germany with a very similar creature. Sightings of what many call the Freiburg Shrieker occurred in Freiburg, Germany in 1978. One morning, a group of miners were going to work. When they got to the mouth of their mine, they found a man in a trench coat blocking their path. When they approached him, they realized it wasn't a man at all, but an entity with large bat-like wings that looked like a coat. The creature then shrieked so loud that the miners said it sounded like 50 men screaming at once, combined with the sound of a train's emergency brakes. The men were terrified and they ran away. 1 hour later, the mine collapsed, and authorities says that if the men had been at their posts, they would have all died. For some reason, 1/3 of the miners developed very serious mental disorders, which is a fate that's shared between a lot of Mothman witnesses around the world. Now, I have one more Mothman incident, and that is the Fukushima nuclear power plant disaster of 2011. Just days after the tsunami following the earthquake, reports of seeing a Mothman-like creature spread across the internet. The sightings were mainly near or around the Fukushima plant. One night, 2 men who worked at the plant were outside when they started to hear loud shrieking sounds. They looked around and noticed a large creature sitting on one of the power plant's buildings. They then said it started to circle around the buildings that housed the nuclear reactors that were going to melt down in just a few weeks. Then they said it started swooping down at them, and when it went past them, they felt an overwhelming feeling of dread and terror that they shouldn't be there. Just weeks later, the Fukushima nuclear disaster occurred, forcing 150 people to evacuate. So what can we gather from all this? Is Mothman good? Is he here to warn us about disasters? Is he just an owl? Or is it a creature here to feed on human tragedy? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you like the video, hit subscribe, and thank you for watching the video because this is my second one I've ever made. I really appreciate it. Have a good day.